Okay, you're good.
Hello everyone, welcome to Bioethics. This is our town hall meeting. We are going to be fighting against discussing the budget cuts and against the SNAP program and after school meetings. Welcome to the meeting. Let me introduce.
My name is John Calhoun.
And you represent who?
And I represent the senior citizens and the retired vet.
My name is Angel Palmer and I represent policymakers.
My name is Linya Yemenum and I represent business owners.
My name is Mia Gomez and I represent farmers.
I'm Taylor McNeil and I'm representing community leaders.
My name is Karan Chappelle. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm one of the teachers here at Saturday Academy.
May begin.
All right. Why don't we start right to left? So why don't you go first? Tell us whether you're for. Tell us who you are again, or whether you're for or against, and why.
So I'm senior citizens and the disabled vets, and I say I'm against the budget cut because one reason why I'm against it is because some retired disabled vets might need the food and the stuff that is provided from the government, and if budget cuts start to happen, then they won't be able to rely on the government anymore, and that might take away their sources of food.
Okay. Tell us who you are, who you represent.
I am against budget cuts because the SNAP program for a very long time had provided people with food and house utilities, medical bills since in their childhood.
Okay.
I'm representing business owners and I'm against it because grocery stores lose profits from food stamps. If you have budget cuts, they'll lose profits.
Okay.
So I'm against it because...
Well, who are you again? Who are you representing?
I'm representing farmers and I'm against. And that's because nationwide, 1 in 5 households with children are considered food insecure, which means people in the household are at risk of going hungry or missing meals or don't know where the next meal is coming from.
Okay, representing community leader, I am against.
You all have to speak up.
I am against the food budgets because I might not get the donations for food to give to other people.
Okay. I am for the budget cuts. I have many reasons why I'm for them. I believe that the money could be better spent elsewhere, like bettering our illegal immigration problem. I also think that it is the responsibility of the parents and the families to take care of themselves. That is not a government responsibility. I believe the government is there to take care of things that individual households cannot take care of themselves. Things like building highways, that's something that you and your household couldn't take care of, but things like feeding your family is something that you can take care of yourself, and I think that's not why the government was created, and so I don't think that so much money should be going toward food programs. All right? Talking about, what is yours again? Disabled veterans and senior citizens. So if you are a senior citizen or a disabled veteran and you have been working in the United States, you actually get Social Security or disability. You may require or receive disability checks. Those things should be enough to take care of you. That's what they're used for. I don't understand why we should also be giving you food assistance.
Well, one reason why I say that you should be giving us food assistance is because when we have other things to take care of, and we have to pay for other things, and if we have to pay for our households, we're not going to be able to pay for a whole household if the places that we get the money from, and that might not be enough for our whole household. If you have a huge family, if you have a huge family, you have to pay for more, and you can't. And not a lot of people can pay for all of that, so they have to use the government for food, and if and like the difference, and it doesn't matter. Like I don't think it matters if you have a small or huge household. Like it's not their fault that they have a. It's not their fault that they had a huge household and that they couldn't take care of all of them.
Okay, I think that is your direct responsibility. So if you have, let's say you do have a huge household, let's say you have 6 children, I still don't understand why that should be the problem of the government to feed your children if you had 6 children. Those children are your responsibility.
But what I'm saying is that like, even though they're our responsibility, well, if we like, most likely if you're a disabled veteran or senior citizen, it's harder to find a job for yourself. So like, it'll be harder to help. It'll be harder to provide food for them if the government doesn't help with that.
Okay. What do you think, policymakers?
I think that I disagree with you because that money helps other young kids who need food, and if they have access to SNAP provides them food and provides them with utilities that can make their house like better, and that's all.
Okay. Well, as a policymaker, your job is to set forth policy that will help, the majority of us. And although I do understand that there are people without food, or there are people who do not have enough food, that isn't the problem of everyone. Those people should, that's something that maybe the community leaders could tackle or something like that. But that's the government. You represent the government, which means you represent me. And if I feel like I should not be forced to pay for other people's food when that money could be used for other things that are affecting me, that is what you're supposed to represent.
But when I hear that, it makes me feel like it's saying that like things like potholes and roads and highways are more important than people who are willing to give their life to keep us here and safe. Like, because without those people, then we'll probably have a smaller government, and instead of focusing on those issues, we would need money, a lot of money just going towards war planning and getting our troops available for war and keeping them healthy and ready for war.
Well, you say a smaller government like it's a bad thing. It may not necessarily be a bad thing. Large governments tend to lead to regimes and a lot of dictatorships and things like that when you have large governments that control everything. Why should we let the government control our food, right? That should be something that we control. If you guys are hungry, you guys should work and then buy your own food. Letting the government feed you is only crippling our communities. Did you have something to say?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the money from the jobs, it's not enough for people, because people are getting low income, so it's not enough for all of them to pay for food. Like, they have to pay the house bill, like the rent, electricity, gas bill. So it's not just food they're paying for, there's also those necessities they have to pay for. So
Okay.
the programs are helping.
So if there's a problem in the job market and we don't have enough income, maybe that's a separate matter that we should tackle. So if we want to raise wages and better the marketplace, that's something that we as consumers can protest for, but that isn't necessarily the government sets a minimum wage for a reason so that we don't have people working for 30 cents an hour, but it's not really my responsibility to feed your family because you don't make enough money.
I agree with you and disagree with you because if you cut the budget cuts entirely, some of the business owners will have less profit from their grocery stores because the food stamps and WIC are not there anymore. But I understand how you think that it's not your job. It's not the government's job to provide food for your family. So I think that maybe people who have a big household should probably get a good job or a career so they can provide for their entire family.
Okay. What about other businesses like construction companies?
It won't affect them because since Trump is using those profits to build the southern border, the construction workers will probably get more money.
Right. So the companies might profit. So some businesses might actually profit from this, while others, this money has to go somewhere. So if it's taken away from some businesses, other businesses have to profit. If some Americans are missing out on something, others will get money for it, right? So it's not like we're just completely taking the money away from everyone. Some people are going to profit. The question here is it worth taking the money away from food so that these other things can get done? What do you guys think? I'm thinking we heard from your group, the farmers.
I think that if you cut the programs, then that means less income for us, because if there's not the families that go in with food stamps and stuff like that, they're buying stuff from the grocery stores, and the grocery stores are getting their food from farmers. So all the food on the shelves go to waste, and also the farmers don't have food to sell to the grocery stores because they don't want as much as they did before.
Okay. Do you guys think there is going to be a positive outcome in our communities with people who may be able to work, who aren't working, actually getting up and getting jobs because now there's not any free food for them? Yes.
I think that we did the government is here to help us through the way, like they have to make our highways and everything, but I mean they shouldn't cut our budget costs because some of us we might be, they haven't raised minimum wage, so I think that if they do cut the budget costs, the least they should do is at least higher minimum wage, because it's not fair to us, because we have to, like everybody else around us has like a perspective on it, and if one person is rich and has all this money, and they don't really even need a job, they don't really care for minimum wage, it's like, oh, I really don't really care for a minimum wage. But if you have somebody who's like who might be a single mom, having has 4 kids and needs like a lot of money to pay for school supplies, food, clothes for her children, and pay for the bills, the lights, the electricity. What are you going to do then? Because you want to cut our costs, but then you don't want to give us anything back. Like, what are you going to do with all that money? Just give more paychecks to your government, because you guys already have a lot of money. So what's the point in giving it to you guys?
So are you saying that the money's going to go back to the politicians and everything that are making the bills?
Yeah, because people are out there fighting for food, trying to get food, when you guys are just taking it away from us just so you guys can go to the automobile and buy you guys some Lamborghini or something, because you guys have all that money.
Well, the original bill was proposed to redirect a lot of that money to securing the southern border, right? So to build the southern wall to at least slow the rate of illegal immigration into the country from the south, right? So we already have an idea of where the money is going. The question is, do you agree with where the money is being taken from and where it's going? All right. Why don't we get some new people in here? Because I think we've heard from everyone here now. So let's get some new people in. Need somebody from this group? All right, so you guys have been sitting, you guys have been listening, soaking it in. What have you guys heard that you agree with or disagree with? Go ahead.
I agree with her. I think that
Make sure you guys are speaking up.
I think that a lot of people in this world that are like millionaires and billionaires have money that they don't even know what to do with and just like waste it on whatever they want and don't give like to charity or something. So it's just safe there.
Okay, you guys hear what she said back there? What she said?
She said that a lot of people have money.
So what do you want those people to do with their money?
I feel like if they have extra money and don't know what to do with it, then they should like give it to charity or something, or for people who actually need it.
Okay, who are you? What's your? Okay. What do you feel about that?
I agree, because they could use that money for better ideas, better plans. They could use it for schools, education for kids who actually need it for the future. They could use that money. They could probably get more money that they already have from that money that the other person gave to them. And they could also give some money to other people who actually need it for other stuff. So that money could actually be used for better stuff.
So if those millionaires have the money to give, then it'd be okay for the government to cut the budget, right? So who is willing to give their money? Business owners?
No.
Farmers? Community leaders? Policymakers? You gonna give more money so the government doesn't have to give? Disabled vets? Senior citizens? Homeless? You gonna give more money so the government doesn't have to cut?
We, us people, elect people into the government to help us, basically, and something people need is food. So if
Okay,
we're electing someone, then
But isn't it the job of the community leaders to support the community when in need?
not a lot of community leaders have enough to sustain everyone. If we do budget cuts, then a lot of the people are going to start packing up onto the community leaders, and community leaders are somewhat going to need help.
So farmers, if we cut the budgets over here, can't you send your food overseas and get money?
It's gonna be harder because a lot of farmers send their food to like grocery stores that are like around the area, and if the budgets are cut, a lot of the farmers are gonna have a reduced income, and just 60 farmers in Kansas are the ones that get to the SNAP program, so they're not really gonna be able to, or if they can, it's gonna be harder for them, so they're not really gonna be making that much money. And they're not going to be able to support their own families the way the government wants us to.
Okay, business owners, what are you going to do? Business owners can give lots of money.
Well, yeah, but it depends on what kind of business you own. If you own your own tiny little restaurant, and I'm taking this idea from him. If you have like 10 employees, and you're not getting enough profits to sustain yourself, and you have SNAP and the taxes are cut, how are you gonna get enough money to pay all your employees and yourself?
Well, Walmart is how much money they make? A lot or a little? Probably a lot. They don't supply a lot of money or give their employees a big wage, so I think some of their employees have to rely on SNAP, but that business owner makes a lot of money, so they're going to gain, right, from the budget cut, you think?
Yeah.
Okay, so we want business owner Walmart to continue gaining, or do we want business owner Walmart to supply more money for their employees?
Business owner Walmart to supply more money for their employees.
What'd you say?
Maybe that is true, but yeah, since not everybody gets as much money as they need, it's hard to like give to other people.
How about policymakers? What are you going to do?
You could probably give money to other people if you need it, and you can actually give a raise to other people. If you have so much money, you could help them out, so they could probably help you out in the future also.
Well, I'm against the budget cuts because I think that the government is supposed to provide a safety net for those people who don't make enough money. They work and sometimes work a couple jobs and still can't pay all of their bills. So I am for the government not cutting the budget and providing for everybody who needs it, the senior citizens, the farmers, and the community leaders, and maybe not some of the business owners.
Also, the money could be used for education in different worlds, in different places instead of the United States. Money can be transferred to other places for the education for them because they really don't have good education over there.
So then that means you want to cut it to give it to overseas or someplace else?
So then they could probably help us out in the future also. And the money can also be used for lunch, breakfast, and for other people that don't eat at their houses.
Okay.
So they could provide them food so they won't starve.
All right, that's good stuff. Anybody else? Let's have a tap in.
Yeah, let's get some people in who haven't said anything yet.
I also agree with her again because people do vote for the new election. People vote for the government to allow them to have new stuff, better stuff than they have right now. New technology, new education, all that stuff like that. People go on the government for that, so they choose that one. And if they don't do it, then that's just messed up.
It's wrong.
Yes.
You got to advocate for it. Do you remember about advocacy? Who's going to be an advocate? Who's going to go to the government and say, this is what we need to do? Are you willing to go?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to go. Are you willing to go? How about you?
Sure.
If we don't have people that's willing to go, who's going to help make the change? Okay. We got to convince the policymakers to change, right? Right?
Some people in who haven't said anything yet. New people. Good job.
Who has not been in?
Come on.
If you have not been in, it's your turn.
Somebody who hasn't been in yet.
Somebody who has not been in.
Those who have been in, so one of you have to come on in.
Okay, she can support you. Come on, sit down. She'll support you.
Yeah, you can help her. All right, guys. So a lot of things were just said, a lot of new points introduced. One of the ones that I kept hearing was that there are a bunch of people who are prospering in the United States, a bunch of millionaires, even some billionaires, right? Why don't they give more money, right? The money, I think it's important to understand the span of the money that's being taken, right? There are trillions of dollars, over the course of years that are going into these funds, right? That are going to be redirected for other things. Now, how many millionaires or billionaires do you think it would take to cover trillions of dollars? Let's say $3 trillion. There are 323 million people in the United States, right? So if you want those few very prosperous people to cover everyone, how much money do you think they'd have to give?
All of their money.
All of their money, like a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like even Bill Gates would probably sweat at the idea of covering everyone, right? So, do you guys still think that's a good idea? Do you think the few wealthy people could take care of the many people in poverty?
Yeah.
You think they could replace the government taking taxes from everyone to feed the people in poverty? Because that's sort of what you guys were alluding to. Let's not take these taxes and do this program anymore. Let's just tax the rich people and feed the poor people that way. But if I make $100,000 and each of you guys only make $10,000, for me to cover 10 people, right, I'd have to pay 10 times as much. Do you guys think that's fair? Would you guys strive to be rich if that was the case? It was like, oh, I can be rich. I can make $1 million a year. And they're like, yeah, but you're going to have to pay $750,000 of it back to taxes every year. Would you guys do that?
No, because I don't think it's fair. The people that have that much money work hard to get up there and to like get all their money, while the people that need food don't do anything to like try to get food.
You don't think so? I think I work hard. I'm hungry sometimes. You don't think people who work in factories or that have or they work at maybe they work at McDonald's, maybe they work 40 hours a week at McDonald's, you don't think they deserve enough money to get food?
They do deserve to get money for food, but the people that are like that have money, like
Make sure you're speaking up. Everyone has to hear you.
They work also hard enough to like try to get their food. So why do they have to also try to work as hard as they do to give money for other people to get food?
We have a social worker, a newly hired social worker who works here, and they told me that they make around $35,000 a year, and they help children with behavioral issues or things like that, right? I think that's a pretty important job, don't you? All right, and then we have athletes who make $37 million, $32 million a year. Do you think that's fair? No. So, do you want to tax the athlete way more than you tax the social worker? Are we gonna change taxes based on how much you make or what type of work you do? Or is it going to be fair across the board for everyone? You should give people a raise. Where's that money coming from? And is it a raise for everyone? Because like we said, Walmart can probably afford that raise. But what about Save-A-Lot? Been to Save-A-Lot lately? Their shelves are pretty bare, really small store. Some of their stores have closed down. You think they can afford to give, if we raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, so everyone can have enough food? Do you think Save-A-Lot can stay open? Maybe, maybe not, right? So yeah, it'll do fine for Walmart. Walmart's going to thrive. They're one of the biggest retailers in the world. They're going to survive. What about Save-A-Lot? You have something? You came in to say something?
Well, I think Save-A-Lot could still be selling stuff, because the employees also need that food. They could buy food from the stores, so that could help them out a little bit. And the raise would help them out on food also, on living, on other stuff. For if they have kids, that raise would help them out a lot. And the store, they could raise, but they might lose more stuff. But as long as they don't lose a lot of stuff, they're probably okay.
Okay. Well, I have a appliance repair business, and I send out my workers to go out and fix dryers and stoves and things like that, right? All right. Now I have to pay my workers more per hour, but the amount of stoves and dryers that they're fixing is the same. How's my business going to survive?
You could probably do a raise, and if other people probably put like help wanted signs for more prices, so more people would help out in your business.
What do you mean?
Like
hire more people to give more money to?
And they could help you out in your business more since there are more people. There's probably going to be more money for them and for you too, since they're helping you out with the business.
Well, so you're saying fix more dryers and more stoves because I have more people, right?
Yeah.
But I have to pay those people more money than I were paying my old people. I have to pay everyone more now. Come on in.
You could just you could do most of the work though. If you had some people on like the phones and then they could radio over where to go, then you could go to all of those places and you would be able to have most of the money to yourself. And then the people who are on the phone, you could give them some of the money.
Okay, what about the repair people I already had?
And then you can fire them.
So now I'm cutting jobs. You want me to cut jobs to save my business?
then
How is that helping the minimum wage? Now I'm cutting jobs.
then make your business more efficient for your workers and for yourself.
What if they're already efficient? There are some things that I can't cut. There has to be travel time between places. They have time to repair, then they have to move to the next place. What
Yeah,
if that
but
takes an hour each time?
Yeah, but it's obviously not efficient if you're not going to get any money for yourself.
Doesn't mean it's not efficient. Maybe the market just doesn't allow for it anymore. It was efficient before the raises. Now I can't afford it. Pass. You give up? Maybe this isn't the best solution, right?
Yeah.
So either my business is going to go under, or I can start charging more money for fixes, right?
Like if you were charging like $50 for fixtures, you can like next time you could charge like $100.
Okay, so we doubled the minimum wage. So the minimum wage is what, like $7.50, something like that. So now we made it $15. We doubled the minimum wage, and now we doubled the price of everything. What has happened?
And everything just goes.
I got something to say.
No. What? Before you do that, answer my question. So
It's the same thing.
okay, so the scenario is we doubled the minimum wage,
Yeah.
and now since my company's going to go under, I've doubled the price of everything. What has now happened? Go ahead.
Don't you and your employees need SNAP? If you're gonna be for it, don't you and your employees need SNAP? You can't provide for yourself. You cannot.
Yeah, but I was making enough money, and now I'm not because we've now raised the minimum wage. I have to pay my employees more. Now I'm making less money. My company may go under.
Okay.
How do we fix it? Is what I'm asking. So you guys proposed a solution, right? We're gonna raise the minimum wage so that we don't have as many people on SNAP, and then we can lower the budget, or we can go ahead and do with the budget cuts. That was your guys' idea, right? Or that was the last group. That's what they said, right? So my question is, how does that affect the businesses that don't profit once this happens? Once we raise the minimum wage, what happens to those businesses that have, a certain amount of money? They had services that they were offering, and now they can't afford to anymore. What happens then? I can't hear you. What'd you say?
They lose their business.
They lose their business, right? Okay. Or they can start charging more money. But if they do that, what happens to the raised minimum wage? It's pretty much the same, right? If I give you twice as much money, they charge you twice as much for everything, nothing's changed, right? That's an idea. So how many of you guys are still against it? What's next?
I don't see why they're trying to build a better wall if they're just gonna find another way to get in. Either way it goes, they might try to destroy that wall. They're gonna find a way.
So you're against the wall?
Yeah, like if they're gonna take the budget cuts, if they're gonna take it out of food stamps and stuff like that, why not put it into something that people need more than a wall? I don't think that's okay.
Any ideas about that?
Instead of making the wall, you could help other people that are in that country from going to another country, giving them the money for uses, instead of building the wall and them trying to go to that other place. Like, we could give the country someone money and they need it, since they're coming over here, since they need new stuff. So instead of the wall, instead of the money for the wall, they can use it for that other country that needs it.
Anybody have anything to say about that?
If you build a wall, is it really going to help? Because, like, it might slow immigration down a bit, but these people are coming to the country for a better chance, so they're not going to give up that easily. So, it might slow down a little, but over time, it's just not going to be as worth it.
So what other solutions can we come up with that may resolve this problem and not, hurt the people that we care about, but still not necessarily
Maybe
step
like
on too many toes?
Not cut as much from the staff or whatever, and just like, a reasonable amount where you can still like give enough to everyone so they could still have enough food.
Okay. Anyone else?
Well, like, say, you just give enough money to people. When not just make like stores, business owners raise up their prices. Because if you give more money to the employees, then that gonna make businesses make more money, like raise the prices. So it still wouldn't be enough money for food.
Well, would it take money away from the business owners if you're giving the
No,
people SNAP?
they would raise the prices if you raise the minimum wage.
So this is with the minimum wage still in place.
Yeah, like if you raise it, then that just makes businesses raise their prices.
Well, what if people are able to afford things like maybe I couldn't get my dryer fixed because I didn't have money, but now that I have more money, I can have somebody come in and fix it.
Yeah, when that make that person raise their prices. So
Maybe.
then now they know that.
Well, what if, like, for, like, how there's all those, like, other stores that really don't matter, like, maybe if there's businesses that are already going down, and maybe you should just, like, some of, like, maybe there could be, like, more loans for, like, the more wealthy people. They could give more loans to those businesses, or if that business does go out of business and everything, then maybe you could make more shelters, like homeless shelters, or like if there's like if you can't, some moms they might end up having a child and they can't like afford that child with all the food and all the clothing, and so they might leave them out on the street, and that somebody might find them and take them to a homeless shelter or take them to an orphanage. Then there will be like daily homeless shelters for people who really need it.
But why would a business owner feel obligated to do any of that, right? Because it's their money; they don't have to do anything that they don't want to do with it.
Because like if the business is already going down, if you know your business like is not working for you and you're not getting any money out of it, then and your business goes down, then maybe you could just maybe you could sell that your building or that place that you have for something more useful, like a homeless shelter.
So I lose my job and then I end up living in that homeless shelter with the rest of them? Or what if I don't have a building and I only have a van that I work and do repairs from? You know, I can't sell that because I also need to get my groceries somehow.
Then either live in the homeless shelter or live in your bed.
Well, I was thinking like when you guys were talking about when you was talking about like what was another solution when she was talking about about the stores. I was thinking that the stores can't so you was talking about how the budget cuts affect the stores, and it would affect the stores, and so when they was talking about how you can raise the minimum wage, I kind of be against raising it, because if you raise it, then that takes away a lot of money away from the government, and sometimes that's some of the money that the government uses to pay for food that is transported to disabled vets and senior citizens.
So what you're saying is that if they raise the minimum wage, then that takes money away from the government?
Yes, because the minimum wage is the money that the government provides to the stores.
No, that's not what the minimum. So minimum wage is like, I hire you and I have to pay you some wage, right?
Yeah, you have to pay.
But if somebody tells me I have to pay you more, the government's not giving me money.
Well, they're not giving you money, but
so that I can pay you. I'm paying you just because that's what they told me to do.
Yeah, you have to pay them. So it's basically saying that you have to pay them, but if you raise that, then then it will start taking money from the business owners, because the business owners.
So it comes from the business owners, not from the government. So then the business owners wouldn't want the minimum wage to go up because that hurts them.
It hurts them.
But wouldn't that help you if you work at like Walmart or somewhere else?
Well, like